Well, here's a situation that I didn't think we'd ever be talking about again. It's the King Jewellers drama. Now, in case you have no idea what I'm talking about here, this is a situation that we spoke about over the course of, I believe, 4 videos, where we discussed a situation involving this TikToker right here, Chelsea Green, with 170,000 followers, who made a series of videos claiming that a jewellery company, King Jewellers, had lost her family heirloom ring.
King Jewellers lost my 4th generation family heirloom engagement ring and my boyfriend's $10,000 crystal and is refusing to pay us. Now, they are a massive company with several locations. They might be a corporation, and they know that I am just a little indie musician and my boyfriend is a tennis player, so they think that they can get away with not paying us. But I'm bringing it to TikTok and hoping that you guys can do your magic and get the word out there so that we can get our money and get engaged.
Right now, obviously, we're not going to go through all the videos because, like I said, I have made 4 videos going into a lot more detail. I'll give you a very fast recap right now, but if you do want more of the details and you haven't heard the situation before, I would recommend checking out my videos where we do go into a lot more detail. Because, spoiler alert, we have a lot to get through in today's video. We actually have a 150-page lawsuit. This is officially a lawsuit where Chelsea King is actually suing King Jewellers, so we have that to look through later on. But very quickly, here's a recap. Chelsea King makes a series of videos claiming that this jewellery company lost her ring that had been passed through generations of her family. The reason why she took this ring to a jeweller's is because she was going to change the stone that was in it. She got this tanzanite that she claims is $10,000, and she wanted to put a piece of this tanzanite in the ring that had been passed down. Then after months of not receiving any updates, Chelsea doesn't know what's going on with the ring, they're not answering any calls or anything like that, they finally get told that the ring has been lost. And they claimed it was in transit between King Jewellers and a third-party company that were going to cut the stone. Chelsea then says King Jewellers refused to compensate for the ring that they said was $10,000 just for the stone itself. Then you've got the ring on top of that. Then Chelsea went on to talk about stuff that has happened with King Jewellers in the past with like former customers, former lawsuits. In fact, this is one review that she showed in one of the videos that says, would give negative reviews if I could. Years ago, they had my engagement ring and a necklace that I was having set with new tanzanite. After 6 months of no communication, feeling like they were purposely ignoring me, I met with a manager who informed me that they had accidentally sold my pieces. They offered me no apology or compensation. I tried to get lawyers involved, but no one would take the case, and I was threatened by employees with police if I didn't stop. Now seeing other stories of the same greed still continuing blows my mind. Shame on you. Now I do just want to make it very clear, I don't have any proof of this. This is just a public review that I'm reading. But when stuff like this was being shown, people were thinking, oh, I wonder if this is something that King Jewellers does. Maybe they took the tanzanite that Chelsea gave them and they're just selling it, like they're splitting it into little pieces, selling it on for profit. You know, this was what people were kind of like trying to guess at. In fact, other jewelry companies started getting involved and were reaching out to Chelsea saying, we have a ring that looks very similar to yours, we'll happily send it to you if you want.
I happen to have almost an identical ring to what you lost in my inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the ring with a tanzanite of your color choosing. If you want, AAA blue, let me know. If you want a purple stone, let me know. I'll put it in there. I'll size it for you and ship it to you for free. I love that I happen to have this ring, which is not only of the period.
Yeah, so here's the ring that he was going to send, and it does look very, very similar. This seemed like such a nice thing. Everybody was on Chelsea's side at this point. I didn't see any comments that were on King Jewellers' side. But this very quickly changed, and to be fair, it all kind of changed when Morets Co., the person who's making this video we just watched, also kind of changed his opinions and started making other videos saying the complete opposite, basically.
I'm rescinding my offer to give out a free ring to Chelsea King, and I will explain why right now. So initially, when I saw her first video, I thought that King's Jewellers refused to help her replace the ring, refused to replace the tanzanite, and refused to work with her at all. That's the impression I got from the video, and that's the video I responded to. In the follow-up to the video, Chelsea explains that yes, they did indeed try to replace the ring. They tried to do a custom ring for her. They tried to replace the tanzanite, and Chelsea and her boyfriend, rejected that and said, give us $25,000 or else. And the or else was, we're gonna go to the Better Business Bureau, we're gonna go to Yelp, we're gonna go to Google, we're gonna post TikToks, etc., which is what Chelsea said in her video. Pay us out or we're gonna do this.
You know, actually still, like, watching this video, I still have no idea where Chelsea said that in the videos. I don't think she did. I think he's misspeaking here. But we did see some, like, kind of, like, proof of Chelsea and her boyfriend asking for 25 grand. But basically, this video kind of boils down to the fact that Morets Co. have changed their opinions and they believe that Chelsea is trying to extort this business. He then went on to post more videos where he showed stuff like this. So this is kind of like the receipt or invoice, whatever you want to call it, at King Jewellers, where Dawson, Chelsea's boyfriend, had took the ring in. And as you can see by this thing that is squared off right here, there is no price for the estimated value of the ring, which would then mean that the value is $80, I believe. That's how they would see it if you left left the value blank. Now, in the lawsuit, we actually do have a response to this whole thing being blank, so we will get to that. But at the time, Morets Proof, and also, like, in the comment sections, people are questioning, like, why would you leave it blank if it's $10,000? Surely you would put the price there. Here we have a screenshot of a complaint from Dawson, again, Chelsea's boyfriend, and as we can see here by the desired settlement, it says, I would like $25,000 as the gemstone cost $10,000, and the ring was so-and-so, it's cut off, so we can't actually read the whole thing. But yeah, he's basically asking for 25 grand in compensation. Now, the price of the tanzanite was kind of like the main thing people were discussing here. I still don't really know what the official answer is of how much this tanzanite should have been worth. If we look at these messages between Morets Proof and Chelsea, you can barely see because the text is over the top of it, but you can see a message from Chelsea that says, he says it's a little smaller than a silver dollar coin, which to me seems like a small piece of tanzanite. And in fact, apparently, this is the piece of tanzanite that was lost. Now, interestingly, in Chelsea's new video, she is saying that this isn't the piece of tanzanite that was lost. So I don't know what's going on here. Someone's lying, clearly. We don't know who it was. But up until Chelsea's new video that was posted literally like overnight as I was asleep, like my time, we all thought that this was the tanzanite because there was nothing saying it wasn't. And basically a bunch of jewellery TikTokers were coming out and saying that this piece of tanzanite is probably worth like a couple $100 at best, and Chelsea's obviously saying it's worth $10,000, which is a big difference. And as I said in them previous videos, no matter how much this item is actually worth, apparently worth a couple $100, I did always believe that Chelsea did pay $10,000 because why would you like lie about that? It seems like a bit of a stupid thing to do when it's kind of easily provable, right? You just show the receipt. So to me, it seemed like if this is really only worth a couple $100, either Chelsea like dramatically overpaid for the product, or it was because of like the experience, like she was in Tanzania and did this whole like kind of like experience, and then also this storm was included. And the last thing that's worth showing so you all caught up is this police report that was filed by King Jewellers, I believe, about this lost product, and there's a whole section talking about how this package was stolen out of a FedEx truck. Yeah, I don't really know if we got any updates for this, like regarding like CCTV or anything to do with the police report itself. Maybe we did, I'm not sure. But I think we should be all caught up by now, and to be honest, I needed the recap myself when I was researching this video because it'd been a while. But this is Chelsea's newest video that has been uploaded, 10 hours ago as I'm recording this, where she starts off by saying that it has now been 5 months since this ring was lost, and she has now officially filed a lawsuit.
It's officially been 5 months since they allegedly lost the package, and as of today, we have officially filed our lawsuit against them.
And it is interesting that it's actually came down to this, because I did kind of think that it would be one of them situations where people are saying like, we're gonna sue you, and then it kind of doesn't really result in anything. But it really was up in the end of who was going to sue who if it was going to come down to that, because obviously King Jewellers were threatening Chelsea with like legal action. Now Chelsea's actually suing King Jewellers, so it's interesting it came to this. Now Chelsea goes on to say the only reason why she's been silent about all of this is because her attorneys told her to before the lawsuit was filed, which does make sense. And then she goes on to say that you can actually just publicly read the lawsuit, which of course you can.
Now that it's filed, it's public and available to all of you to read if you'd like. It's 150 pages.
150? Chelsea, I can barely read as it is. We've all seen it in my previous videos, right? I struggle at times. 150 pages, that is very daunting. But yeah, I have had a look through it. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer by any means. I would love to see an actual, like, one of these YouTube, TikTok lawyers kind of read through it and give their thoughts and opinions. But I have picked out some points that I did want to read a little bit later on. Now, for the first time in this situation, we then get to see the receipt for the tanzanite, the original receipt. This is what Chelsea shows in her videos, where it says there's a tanzanite crystal, quantity 1 for $9,500. And that's kind of it. She has kind of like scribbled out some private info here on the lawsuit. This bit's not scribbled out, and it's basically just kind of like an email address and like contact information for whoever sold the ring. I don't know. I mean, an invoice like this is obviously so easy to make, so it doesn't really prove much in terms of the price. But again, I do believe that they did pay that amount for the ring. Like I said, you can actually see the contact information in the lawsuit itself. So the court could reach out to this person to confirm that it's real. So I don't see why they'd make it up. But yeah, this is an invoice. Again, doesn't really prove much on its own, but it could be proven if people looked into it a bit more. And by the way, I'm not saying that like random people should look into this more and start like fucking emailing the company or anything like that. I'm talking about the court. Now at this point in the video, Chelsea says that any of the pictures that we have seen of the tanzanite previously isn't the real tanzanite that was lost.
I know there were a lot of pictures of tanzanite circulating TikTok and random jewelers claiming that those pictures were of our tanzanite, but reality check, it was not our tanzanite. We don't have any pictures of our tanzanite. This e-receipt is really all we have to show for the tanzanite. We weren't expecting our tanzanite gemstone to get stolen when we bought it, so We didn't take any pictures.
Okay, interesting. Like, I mean, this is obviously just one of them situations where it's like, who do you believe? Because there's no proof either way, really. But this picture of this Tanzanite that we've been seeing, that up until now we all thought was the Tanzanite that was lost, apparently isn't true. Apparently they've used a different picture, which, I mean, that seems like they could get themselves in some bother by doing that. But Chelsea's also said they don't have any pictures of the Tanzanite. I mean, that can obviously be entirely possible. I feel like, obviously, most people probably would take a picture of something like that when they receive it. It's very expensive, you know. But again, it's obviously very possible that you don't. Chelsea then goes on to say that King Jewellers has, like, played everyone on social media and then shows one of their posts that they made when this situation was kind of like just starting out, and then goes on to say that King Jewellers didn't offer compensation.
And the way that they've played everyone on social media has been really sneaky and manipulative and has given me kind of an insight to how they operate. As you know, they posted this. Pause the video. When people were defending me and attacking them online, they posted that statement saying that they were going to compensate us. Well, we never heard anything from them. They never offered to compensate us. They never reached out to our lawyers and offered to compensate us. Behind closed doors, they haven't even spoken to us. They haven't even given us for the tracking number for the allegedly lost package.
Yeah, so again, it is kind of like a situation of who do you believe? We've got King Jewellers saying that they offered compensation. Chelsea's now saying that they didn't. In the lawsuit, I mean, we're going to look into it properly, but the way I read it is that they did offer compensation at first, and then Chelsea kind of declined, and then later on, when Chelsea kind of decided she did want compensation, they refused. The compensation was just another ring off the same value, or actually valued at a higher, I believe they said, and it wasn't like a cash compensation, so maybe that's what she's talking about here. Now, at this point in the video, Chelsea says that King Jewellers have been reaching out to other jewelers on like Facebook groups or group chats or whatever it's on, and kind of releasing Chelsea's private info, which is wild. I don't know why they would do that, and almost kind of insinuates that King Jewellers are getting other jewelry companies to do like their dirty work for them because they can't personally say anything on social media because it can be used against them in court.
That to make it look like publicly they were doing the right thing, but what they were really doing behind the scenes was reaching out to jeweler group chats, which I didn't even know that was a thing, jeweler group chats. And in these jeweler group chats, they shared our personal information, our home address, and keep in mind, they shared this to a bunch of strangers, right? So that's kind of scary in itself already. But here's the thing. King Jewellers knows they're guilty. King Jewellers knows they lost my family heirloom. They know what they did. And they know that if they try and say anything on social media, it will be held against them in the court of law because obviously we're suing them. So instead of publicly saying anything online, they manipulated all of these jewelers in this group chat. They convinced these jewelers with big followings to post about this and to continue to post these slam videos about me and Dawson so that they didn't have to. They had all of these random internet jewelers doing their dirty work for them because we can't do anything about that and we can't hold that over their head and we can't say, oh, King Jewellers said this. Because it's all these random jewelers, right?
Okay, so a few things of that. If King Jewellers really are like putting Chelsea's address in private group chats, that is so grim. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know what that achieves, but it's a very weird thing to do. But yeah, I mean, clearly Chelsea believes that King Jewellers manipulated these other jewelers to kind of speak about the situation. And if that is true, hypothetically, like I said, I don't know if that is true because we don't have any proof of that. But say if that is true, it kind of did work in that way, right? Because the fact that these other jewelers like Morets & Co came out and were going against Chelsea definitely did change public opinion quite a lot. But of course, these are accusations. We haven't seen any group chats or anything like that, so I can't say that's happened with 100% fact. It's also very possible that Morets & Co just saw the information and decided that they changed their mind themselves, right? Either way, let's get to the lawsuit itself. Now, this is actually linked in Chelsea's bio on TikTok, so if you do want to read it, you can just go to a TikTok, click on the bio, and you can see like a document showing the lawsuit. So, like I said, I'm obviously not going to look at probably like 10% of it in this video because I would be here forever. And also, I'm just not a lawyer, right? So I'm not the right person to really go into massive detail about this. I just want to kind of pick up points that have been mentioned. But here is the lawsuit anyways, the plaintiff being Dawson Blankenship, who was obviously Chelsea's boyfriend, and the defendant being King Jewellers. Now at the beginning of the lawsuit, they're obviously just giving context to the situation as to what's happened. They also go on to mention stuff like, beyond that, King Jewellers threatened to sue Mr. Blankenship and his fiancée for speaking out about what happened. Worse still even than that, King Jewellers sent documents containing Mr. Blankenship's personal information and contact information to non-parties as part of a calculated effort to harass Mr. Blankenship and to smear both him and his fiancée on social media. And then here on line 10, they go on to mention a previous lawsuit that King Jewellers were involved in. It says, this is not even King Jewellers' first incident of such shocking and dishonest behaviour towards its customers. For example, in 2019, King Jewellers was sued for, and it was then held liable for, selling its customers counterfeit versions of Cartier and Van Cleef merchandise from trademarked collections. Now, later on in this lawsuit, they do just genuinely put in the previous lawsuit from Cartier to kind of like show context of this, so we can actually have a look through that. And yeah, it seems like they definitely did do that. They did try selling counterfeit Cartier and Van Cleef products. Now, I'm not sure how much weight that would have on this current lawsuit that has nothing to do with counterfeit products, really. So I don't know if mentioning this previous lawsuit would have any effect on this lawsuit itself. If someone could let me know in the comments, that'd be great. I would assume since it's a completely separate situation, it maybe wouldn't, but what do I know? Now, this part of the lawsuit's very interesting because we kind of get an answer to why the estimated value was left blank on that receipt that we saw, right? So it starts off here by saying, to induce Mr. Blankenship to hire King Jewellers to perform their services, King Jewellers also affirmatively represented to Mr. Blankenship that it would insure the crystal and ring for over $100,000 after taking possession of the items. Thus, at the point of sale, King Jewellers asked Mr. Blankenship whether the value of the merchandise exceeded $100,000. Mr. Blankenship indicated that the value of his merchandise did not exceed over $100,000. Accordingly, King Jewellers instructed Mr. Blankenship to leave the estimated value line of his purchase receipt blank because King Jewellers would insure the items for more than their value after taking possession of them. Now, straight away, this does strike me as something that would be quite hard to prove unless there's like CCTV footage of this. But let's say if they do have a way of proving this, and this is something that King Jewellers really did, I mean, that looks very good for their claim, especially when one of King Jewellers' main defenses has been like, why did you leave the value blank if it was really worth 10 grand? Because now Chelsea and Dawson are saying, well, you told us to leave it blank because it wasn't over $100,000. And on top of that, they're saying that King Jewellers insured them that the items would be insured. Again, I feel like this would be a hard thing to prove, but if they have a way of proving this, it would look very strong for them. Now, a little bit later on in the lawsuit, we're getting to the point where, like, the ring has been lost, and it goes on to say Mr. Blankenship then immediately attempted to schedule a meeting with King Jewellers president, David King. After doing so, Mr. King did not appear for that meeting. The day after he missed the scheduled meeting, Mr. King called Mr. Blankenship. Mr. King informed Mr. Blankenship that after Mr. Blankenship's crystal was cut, set in his fiancee's ring, and shipped back to King Jewellers by a third-party gem cutter, the package was lost by FedEx after being stolen during transit. Despite King Jewellers' representation to Mr. Blankenship at the time of his purchase that his items would be insured for more than $100,000, Mr. Blankenship's items were not insured at all at the time that they were stolen. Despite King Jewellers' representation of Mr. Blankenship at the time of his purchase that the items would be insured for $100,000, King Jewellers did not require the agent that King Jewellers used to cut Mr. Blankenship's crystal and set it in the ring to purchase insurance on the return package. So basically they're saying that the return package from the third-party company to King Jewellers wasn't insured. And in fact, if we scroll down a bit further here, it says King Jewellers stated that its agent chose not to insure the returned package due to the value of the contents in his expert opinion. So it seems like to me, from what I'm taking from this, is that they're basically blaming the third party company for not insuring it, and they're not taking any responsibility for that. Look, I don't know how that information will be taken legally, right, by the law, but just on like a moral standpoint, for them to put the blame on this third-party company when Chelsea and Dawson give the ring to King Jewellers, like at that point it really should have been King Jewellers' responsibility, and they should take responsibility for that regardless if they sent it to a third-party company. So yeah, if that was me in that situation, I would also be pissed off at King Jewellers regardless if they don't want to take responsibility. But again, I don't know what this means legally. I don't know if they genuinely don't have any legal like responsibility for this because it was a third-party company that was sending it back to them. Maybe that's the case, I'm not sure. Now, at this point in the lawsuit, it does say that King Jewellers offered to redesign a ring as compensation for Chelsea and Dawson, but they ultimately declined this because of their experience working with King Jewellers so far. And then it goes on further to say that Mr. Blankenship asked to be compensated monetarily for the loss of his crystal and his fiance's heirloom engagement ring. King Jewellers was enraged by this request. King Jewellers refused to offer any monetary compensation whatsoever to Mr. Blankenship for his loss. So in Chelsea's video where she's saying that they didn't offer compensation, I'm assuming this means like a monetary compensation, right? Because apparently they did offer to redesign a ring. And then if we scroll a bit further down, we can actually see the prayer for relief here where it says, wherefore the plaintiff respectfully requests that the defendant be required to appear and answer this complaint within the time required by law. All compensatory and incidental damages to which the plaintiff is entitled in an amount not less than $25,000. So we'll back up the 25 grand number. Treble damages pursuant to 10 code and yeah, stuff I have absolutely no idea about. Punitive damages in amount not less than $150,000, that the plaintiff be awarded attorney fees and discretionary costs of trying this action, that pre-judgment and post-judgment interest be awarded to the plaintiff, that all costs be taxed against the defendant, that a jury of 12 be empaneled to try this cause, and all such further relief as this court deems just and proper. And then after this, we just get bits of evidence of stuff that was mentioned in the lawsuit that I just read through. They actually showed, I believe, the full lawsuit between Van Cleef Cartier and King Jewellers. And yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it definitely does seem like they were guilty, in my opinion. Well, is it even my opinion at this point? Because apparently, I think they did lose the lawsuit. But again, my opinion, right? Let's be careful here. I mean, here we have some images of some Van Cleef ripoffs that they were basically selling that definitely look like Van Cleef products. We also have some images of the Cartier products that they were selling that literally says Cartier inside. So this was wild to me because when she mentioned that the products had been copied, I assumed that they made products that look like Cartier, but probably didn't have the Cartier branding on it. They were just like, oh, you know, we were inspired. But apparently not, unless I'm misunderstanding this lawsuit, which, I mean, it was probably likely. But from what I can tell, they're basically saying here that they sold these Cartier products that were fake with Cartier's branded inside. I mean, it says here, plaintiff's agents purchased the imitation love bracelet shown below, which also bears an imitation of the Cartier mark. So yeah, they're saying that they copied even the Cartier brand inside, which is very illegal. Again, I don't know how much this previous lawsuit would have an effect on this current lawsuit with a situation that's very different, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. They then go on to show some previous articles, like this one saying jeweler fined $150,000 for selling Cartier Van Cleef fakes. And then we have some other like bits of evidence that we've already seen, like the invoice that we saw earlier, the police report, stuff like that, stuff we've already seen. But then we also see this email that seems to be from King Jeweller's attorney to Chelsea and Dawson's attorney, from what I can tell, and it says, Daniel, sitting through all the rhetoric and chest pounding, the only logical thing I can extract from your emails is that your clients have no documentary evidence to support their case. Thus, the filing of any lawsuit against my client will be swiftly responded to with a motion of sanctions, subjecting yourself and your clients to attorney fees for your vexatious litigation. To spell it out clearer, as you seem to not comprehend my previous emails, your demand/extortion for any monetary offer is and has been rejected. You have again failed to provide any support to your client's position. Now all of a sudden there was an offer to insure for $100,000. Where is that proof? The receipt, again, signed by your client, lists the entire value of the job creating the new ring as $1,100. If your client felt that it was worth more, then he should have inputted an amount prior to signing. Clearly he knew its worth, or worthless for that matter, as set forth in that document he signed. You've still provided no evidence of this alleged $10,000 spent on the rock, nor provided any support to justify a $25,000 previous demand or any entitlement to any monies at all. Your efforts in obtaining and sending these documents would be more well received than pounding your chest. Again, it's evident that you and your clients are merely looking for press and not justice. Feel free to rely on rumors to support your position and convince your clients of a victory, one they'll probably never see. I mean, this whole email is very passive aggressive, isn't it? Please note, we are not authorized to accept service, so file suit as you deem fit. No matter what firm is retained, the facts and law do not change. Your clients have made defamatory and false statements and are in search of a payout and exposure, particularly now that the public comments are turning on her as people are exposing the lies and holes in her story. If and when you choose to have a productive conversation to attempt to reasonably resolve the issue, we remain available to speak. Until then, there is no need for further conversation. Sincerely, the attorney's name. So yeah, judging from that, it seems like King Jeweller's attorney is definitely going to be fighting against this lawsuit. So I'm assuming we're going to see more stuff come out in the near future. And it's probably going to go on for a while, it seems. There's a lot of claims being made from both people here. And of course, again, with the fact that I'm obviously not a lawyer, I'm not sure what is going to happen here. There obviously are some claims that, if can be proven true, definitely do not look good for King Jewellers in terms of like them saying to leave the estimated value blank. I just feel like that'd be such a hard thing to prove. I'm not sure how you would do that. Literally, the only way I think that can be proved is by CCTV footage, and then you have to rely on the fact that wherever this conversation took place, it's visible and audio is being picked up. Because to me, it looks clear by this email that the response is going to be that you left it blank. It was your choice to leave the estimated value blank, and you shouldn't have done that. But yeah, like I said, not sure how this is going to go. It'll be interesting to kind of keep up to date with it as we get more updates. I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about, with the lawsuit, with Chelsea's video, with just everything. How do you think this is going to go? And yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, goodbye.